your flesh and blood.
Welcome to Tell Me Your Story with Dennis Henson. This is a brand new series we hope that you will enjoy, and it's called Body of Health. Dennis, welcome, and let us start out by telling people about, I guess best way to put it is our disclaimer.
Okay. Well, Richard, thank you so much for having me on this series. I'm really excited about doing this, but I think it's very important that everyone understand that neither of us are medical doctors or have any kind of medical training. We are just people who are very interested in health and being able to get better faster, so that if you have some problem, that gives you a place to go to find things that have worked for other people that may help you, or they may not, but there'll be something worthwhile checking out.
Body of Health is going to be here every week. The website that we're going to suggest you go to for information, number one website is dennisjhenson.com, which we will have in the audio and video podcast videocast. But there's also a Facebook location, and basically it's facebook.com/groups/body of health. Once again, facebook.com/groups, that's plural, groups/body of health. We hope that you will go there to check out the information that Dennis has provided with us. And with that, we move into Body of Health. Body of Health with Dennis Henson and Reverend Dr. D. Richard Dugan here on Tell Me Your Story. This is a series that's been going on since January 2026. And we are here today, Dennis. It's great to have you with us to talk about a fantastic, life-changing program. That's what we've got lined up. What questions will we be answering today, Dennis?
Well, Richard, this week we're going to be talking about people who either have survived cancer or want to avoid getting cancer. But before we jump in, let's remind everybody that we're not doctors. We don't have any kind of medical degrees. The things we'll be discussing are things that we've learned on our own and from our own experience.
Well, I can speak from only, thank goodness, secondhand. My wife, of course, about 25 years ago, went through her own bout of cancer and obviously survived it and is doing great. And so it's a big deal here. So after reading an article on your website on the bodyofhealth.life, I am amazed at all of the options available for fighting this pretty horrific, terrible disease. And the cancer, of course, number two, I can't believe it's number two, a killer, is in a word, is cancer itself, the big C. Matter of fact, there's a series on demand called The Big C. And it's a word that changes lives in virtually an instant. And of course, the moment it is spoken, everything shifts. And but when it comes to defending yourself, that's the big question there. You are far from powerless. And as you explained, true health and longevity comes from understanding how your body operates at the microscopic level. It requires moving away from just managing symptoms and towards creating an internal environment where disease struggles to survive. That's the key right there. And a core part of that defense is understanding the connection between what you consume, how you move, and how your cells use energy. And your research, Dennis, highlights building cellular defense through fasting, which we've talked about many times, to let insulin drop, to eliminating sugar entirely, and exercising significantly using, specifically using a rebounder, which, by the way, we got in the mail just the other day, to keep the lymphatic system moving. And you can also You can also stress the importance of prioritizing sleep, managing cortisol, and also doing a cellular detox to clear out heavy metals and parasites. Now, Dennis, can you tell us a little bit about why establishing this clean internal environment is the absolute first step in this battle?
Sure, Richard. Cancer cells feed on sugar, and they need that as a fuel supply. When you cut off sugar, you're really starving cancer. Fasting gives your body time to re-energize and to hunt down those cancer cells. Your body is always struggling to be healthy, and by cutting out sugar and fasting, you're letting your body do its thing and really hurt the cancer cells. And then rebounding acts like a pump. We actually had a program on this a short time ago where your lymphatic system doesn't have a pump like your circulatory system does, which is your heart. Your lymphatic system depends on you moving. And the best movement that you can do to move the fluids in that system is moving up and down. And so by using the rebounder, it's like an external heart for the lymphatic system. You can't build a healthy body if your body is filled with toxins. And so your lymphatic system is kind of the sewer system for the body, picking up all of the bad things, taking them to your kidneys and to your digestive system and expelling them from the body. But
Well,
we also need to detox and get all of the bad things that have accumulated in all of the parasites and heavy metals. If you start by getting a super clean body and then doing all the things, fasting and using the rebounder, it really gives your body a chance to attack the cancer that you already have or fight it off before it ever has a chance to take hold.
Well, I'll tell you what, that all makes perfect sense to me. And of course, so once we do detox and set the foundation, then it comes down to putting back into the body those things that do what we need them to do to either prevent or survive or prevent cancer. Now, in the research that you've done on fueling longevity, which is amazing stuff, you point out that we should eat fiber first. And I find this fascinating that this layered approach, which is really kind of what it is. Fiber first, like artichoke hearts and chai seeds, or chia, I guess that's chia seeds. Looks like chai to me because I like chai tea. But anyway, that's to help carbohydrates, to trap carbohydrates and slow, of course, the glucose absorption. And you also brought up some incredible, seafoods and, of course, superfoods. For example, celery. Celery leaves and have 20 times more anti-cancer compounds than the stalk, which I find fascinating. But it's not unusual when we start talking about other things where a lot of the nutrition's in the peel or the rind as opposed to the actual fruit or vegetable. You also specify powerhouses for fighting cancer. The best vegetable is, of course, the purple yam. I'm looking forward to trying that. I've got to find it and try that. Of course, then there's also the fruit, the best fruit, which of course is it soursop?
Yes.
All right. Then you've also got seaweed. The best seaweed, I guess you should say, is nori. A mushroom is masima. And then you've got the best nut, walnut. We talked about that. The grain, quinoa. Then there's the best herb, rosemary. The best seed is, I'm going to go moringa.
Yeah, moringa. Yeah.
And then we got the root turmeric, which we've talked about a lot. And then, of course, tea, yerba mate royale. Well, yerba mate tea. I used to make sun tea out of this one product called yerba mate royale. Oh, God, that was so good. And, of course, the best supplement supplements are found at bodyofhealth.life. And of course, finally, you mentioned using spices as a natural shield, specifically cinnamon to mimic insulin, and then turmeric, which combines with black pepper. That's what we would combine it with to massively reduce inflammation, which, by the way, folks, when we talk about inflammation, we talk about anti-inflammation. That's our AI here. All right. On Body of Health, anti-inflammation AI. So Dennis, how do these specific foods and spices actively fight disease at a cellular level?
Well, the foods you just mentioned are like medicine. They set up traps for sugar. The fiber traps the sugar so that it doesn't spike your blood. The celery leaves, not the stalk, but you mentioned the leaves, contains compounds that trigger cancer cells to self-destruct. So when you eat the celery leaves, they're not dark green. The celery leaves are light green, and usually people just peel them off and put them in the trash. But that's really not what you should do, because they're the most powerful thing that you can put in your body to fight cancer, because it triggers the cancer cells to kill themselves, to commit suicide. So superfoods like the purple yam and soursop support cellular health. And the spices act like biological shields. Cinnamon acts like insulin, and turmeric crushes inflammation, especially when mixed with black sugar. Black pepper. I'm sorry. There is no black sugar.
The black pepper, yeah. And that's a good thing to know too, that there are all of these things that are actually, we've already mentioned, are actually most likely in our spice racks and our cabinets in our kitchen, that kind of thing.
Right.
And so we need to consider that. But to truly rebuild the body, we often need targeted support. And your protocol points to fundamental supplements to repair the cells and buffer stress, which is so important. God, we're all going through that. And we're looking at things like MCT oil. We have, you have the acronyms here of NWN. There's CoQ10. I'm familiar with that. And of course, the magnesium glycinate, vitamin D3. We've talked about that, on top of course, the beautiful thing of sunlight when you have it available. And L-theanine, is that pronounced correctly? All of which
L-theanine, and we need not to skip over the NMN. That is really powerful.
Oh, yes, please tell us what that is.
Well, it is so powerful. It works so well that the big pharma tried to get it taken off the market. It made it really difficult to get, but the people rose up and demanded, and so now you can get it. For a while, you couldn't get it in health food stores at all. You could only order it now. If you can't find it, you can get it on bodyofhealth.life. That's the reason that website exists, because there's some things that are difficult to get, and we try to make sure that those are there so that you can grab them if you can't find them anywhere else.
Well, in addition to the supplements that we've just been talking about, you also talk about what you refer to as the wisdom of the ancients. And it's funny, I think that tea that I used to make sun tea out of about 20, 30 years ago, Yerba Mate Royale, what came from a company by that name. But nonetheless, we're also talking about something that I'm very happy where we live now, because I can do this in moderation, as it were, because I live on a hill and I don't want to go sliding down the hill. But there's called grounding, barefoot on the earth. There's thermal therapy in saunas to release heat, shock, and there's of course the shock proteins, and then there's also cold exposure to flush cellular waste, therapeutic fasting for autophagy?
Yeah.
Autophagy. Yeah. Okay. And then, of course, you also have the intentional breath work, which I love, which we'll talk about as well, to shift the nervous system out of fight or flight. Now, Dennis, why is it so critical that we look beyond, or I should say backward, to these ancient practices to achieve modern health and longevity?
Well, before we look back, I think it's also important that we look forward. Um, so, the first thing someone asked me on another podcast, well, what's the most important thing in fighting or recuperating from a stroke? Well, it's the same with cancer. The most important thing is to get your mind right. You need to have and you need to have a positive mental attitude. You need to believe that things are going to be good, and you need to choose positivity. Be grateful rather than hateful.
Mm.
If you have your mind right, your body follows. It gives it the calmness and strength, and avoids all of the things that causes you poor health.
Mm.
Now, in looking back, it, it's important to do the things that the people have done for a number of years in order to keep their body healthy. It seems like just for the last 100 years, as things have changed in our diet and it changed in the way we have to do things. There's so much more pressure that all these diseases are seeming to take hold. You didn't have heart attacks like we do now 150 years ago, or stroke, or all of the bad things.
Mm.
So we need to give our cells the things they need in order to heal. MCT oil and CoQ10 are vital. Ancient practices, force the body to adapt and strengthen itself. Grounding, for example, you mentioned that. The earth is set up in such a way so it has a certain vibration.
Mm-hmm.
And it has an electrical charge. When people stopped wearing leather soled shoes and started wearing plastic shoes, it stopped the electrical charge at their feet. So, what do? I went to a shoe store not long ago and just looked. I wanted leather soled shoes. You can't even find them anymore. Not at least not the shoe stores that we have around here. So what you do is you take your shoes and socks off, and a couple of times a day, walk out into the grass and give your body time to adjust to the earth. Not only the electrical frequency, but the vibrations, heat and cold exposure. When back in time before we had electric heat and air conditioning, people got cold and people got hot. It was a normal thing. But now you can stay in a building all day long. Some of the people that have come to America for the soccer games,
Yeah.
have commented on the air conditioning that they don't have in their country. And they really like it, but it's not all that healthy. So you want to make sure that you get out in the sun and that you experience some cold. So when you take your shower, maybe a cold shower. Also, breathing. Breathing is really important. Back when people were chasing after animals for their food, they didn't have any choice but to breathe. I mean,
Yeah.
if you chase an antelope for 2 or 3 miles, you're probably going to sit down and breathe heavily for quite a while. Well, breathing lowers stress and causes the body to focus on healing. So those things are important and need to be worked into your lifestyle in order to avoid these terrible diseases, including cancer.
Mm. Well, we're going to take a quick pause here because I want to remind people about some websites and information that they can get. The first one is DennisJHenson.com. And that's sort of the central portal, if you will, because it's going to take you to a lot of different places. Go to that health tab at the top of that page of DennisJHenson.com, click on it, and then scroll down. You're going to find a couple of things. Number one, you're going to find a link that will take you to a group of people, a group that is available via Facebook called Body of Health Group. And it can be a support group, information, all kinds of good things there. You scroll further down on the main page, health page of DennisJHenson.com, and you're going to see all kinds of information, including that which we are talking about here today in regards to preventing and or surviving cancer. And then there's also a link to the bodyofhealth.life website where you can find a lot of the elements, the herbs and spices and all kinds of different things, including one of my favorites, and I know, Dennis, yours too, Morning Clarity Coffee, which I have my cup right here, and I'm enjoying as we are chatting away here, and all kinds of good stuff. And you can also get a 20% discount if you use the secret code. Not so secret when we tell you, because now everybody knows, but that's the whole point. Radio, RADIO. Put that in there and you'll get a 20% discount on your order. And we hope that you will do that. And we hope that you will stay with us as we continue talking about Body of Health here on Tell Me Your Story. Reverend Dr. D and Dennis Henson, we are not doctors, but we are here to share with you our perspectives, our observations, Dennis's research in particular. And so please check with your primary care physician, your health professional, no matter what happens here. Now, before we were talking about all these ancient practices, then they're pretty darn incredible. I do like the one breathing technique, the 521, which we could go into. We'll do that a little bit later. And they're accessible to almost everyone, these ancient practices. Now, before we wrap up on today's show, we could also touch on alternative medicine. And that one of these days, that name is going to change. I hope that it won't be alternative anymore. But while we are not prescribing anything, no discussion on combating cancer would be complete without mentioning alternatives that many credit for their recovery. And you encourage our listeners to do their own intensive research on things like I'm going to have you pronounce that because I know I'm going to mess that one up thoroughly. Astaxanthin.
Yes, you got it perfectly.
Oh, I did go well. I feel good about that, of course. Yeah. And that is a carotenoid with 9 anti-cancer mechanisms, including protecting DNA and breaking cancer's spread. And you also suggest looking into, I believe this is ivermectin as well as fenbendazole,
Yes. Fenbendazole, yeah.
Vitamin B17, which is also known as amygdalin, or laterite.
Laetrile. It's Laetrile.
Oh, thank you. Laetrile. It's a naturally occurring chemical compound in raw nuts and seeds or pits of many fruits, especially apricots, apples, and plums. And then there's also hydrogen peroxide inhalation. This is not taken internally, not the liquid. And then, of course, the works of a Dr. Max Gerson, a Dr. Pete Salak, and then Dr. Eric Berg. Talk to us a little bit about these folks.
Well, first of all, alternative medicine, I think it has a lot of validity because if you do a lot of research, you'll see where, and that's why I'm encouraging the research, you'll see where it's been successful. That's why I mentioned these 3 doctors specifically. Now, if you didn't grab those or you can't write them down, you can go and get this article from bodyofhealth.life, and it has them listed there. But Dr. Max Gerson wrote a book which was banned. And if you type in Dr. Max Gerson, even on AI, they're going to tell you, oh no, don't even go there. If you go to Google or wherever, you're just going to get a very negative explanation about what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But if you dig a little bit deeper and actually read what he's talking about specific real cases with real people where he did 50 and was able to accomplish miracles. Well, why is that bad? I don't understand. And these last two, Dr. Pete Sulik and Eric Bragg, both had terminal cancer. And they both cured themselves. Well, that's pretty interesting. Don't you think that's interesting? And they talk about it, and all you got to do is just go to YouTube, type it in, and you can listen to them talk about what they did and how they were able to cure themselves. You had mentioned something earlier about hydrogen peroxide. And I think we need to mention that because one of the new things in alternative medicine is inhaling hydrogen peroxide. You go and you just buy a bottle and you put it in the spray bottle and you open your mouth and spray it in and inhale for 6 sprays.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the person that's saying do this is saying, well, it has an effect on cancer. You'll have to listen to him, do your own research. But one of the things he says is don't use food grade hydrogen peroxide. Well, the normal grade, if you go to the Dollar Tree and get hydrogen peroxide, it's either 1% to 3%.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's 1%. Okay. Food grade is 33%. Now, some people on his post were saying, well, I'm going to get the food grade. Well, they don't know what they're doing. They're killing themselves because hydrogen peroxide, I used to work in a large facility. It was the National Semiconductor, and they had a room where you couldn't go in. It was locked. You had to have special permission, and everything in the room was hydrogen peroxide barrels. If you put your finger in the barrel, touch the liquid, and pulled it out, it would just be a bone. It would eat your flesh.
Oh, wow.
So if you go inhaling 33% hydrogen peroxide just because it says food grade, you're going to kill yourself. So I'm just warning you, don't do that. However, the 1% hydrogen peroxide, first thing I do every morning is gargle with that. You can swallow, you can do whatever you want to, because 1% is not hazardous to your health, and inhaling it may be a good thing. I don't know, but do your own research.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
I think the point is this. There are a lot of alternatives, and some of them have some tremendous stories behind them. So check them out, especially the people who have been told by their physician that they only have a short time to live. What you got to lose? I mean, if these things work and they heal you, then I don't see how that could be bad, especially if you researched it thoroughly.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, go ahead.
Well, disease don't discriminate. No one is immune. So it's like everything else. You should take daily action to rebuild your body and make the hard choices. Follow the path to true health and longevity.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, it's also true too that we even have situations where we have public officials telling us, "Oh, you ought to do this for this and do this for that, and take this for this condition or this disease or this virus or what have you." And a lot of people, and we've even had, this is one of the reasons why we end up having all the different warning labels on things that we do. It's like, I know well enough. I don't need a warning label to say, do not drink gasoline. I don't need a warning label for that. I know better. It, first of all, smells horrible. Okay.
It wouldn't taste very good either.
Exactly. But I know there are warning labels that say don't ingest this. And it's like, because somebody obviously did and it didn't go well. So you have got to do your research. Matter of fact, something that came to mind, and I don't know if you know anything about this particular item in terms of what we were just talking about in terms of hydrogen peroxide. I'm sure you have heard of colloidal silver.
Yes.
All right. Now, I don't know what it can or cannot do. All I know is I've heard certain things, but it goes right back to what you have already said. I've said it, and we say this over and over again. Do your research. All right. You've got to take responsibility for your health because nobody else will. And even though you may have a physician, and that's great, a healthcare professional or an alternative practitioner, and that is wonderful. They aren't going to, it's kind of like I told you before how I used AI to do my taxes. I can't take AI to an audit. It's on me. I'm responsible for the form I sent in. Well, each one of us is responsible for our own health and well-being. And just because your doctor told you that this is what you should take, if you do your research, that's the important factor here. We encourage you to do that.
The things that we mentioned before we got to the alternative. So when you read the article, those things are not controversial. NMN and MCT oil, those are not controversial. You can get them at the drugstore. You can take them. You can get them on bodyofhealth.life. But at the end of the article, you know, like when I had my stroke, the medical doctors and the medical industry had done whatever, as much as they could, and I was still having strokes. I had 7 of them. And I determined, well, I'm going to stop this, and I don't care what they say because what they're doing is not working.
Right.
And so I started doing my own research, and next thing you knew, I was not having strokes anymore.
Yeah.
My body was healing itself, and it fought off the additional ones. Now it's been years since I've had any problem at all. And you can do the same. And there's so much information at your fingertips now. Take advantage of it. But before you do that, just do the regular stuff that we mentioned in the beginning of the article, which is not controversial. You can do it. And I doubt if any doctor is going to say, but check with your doctor. Say, you're going to take MCT oil. But what do you think about that? I doubt if any doctor is going to say that coconut oil is going to hurt you.
Yeah. Well, this kind of goes to sort of the juxtaposition between the statistical information, which takes a myriad of people and puts the statistics into a general, high, low, medium kind of thing. Like, for example, blood pressure. The standard level should be like 120/80. That's the norm, the mid-range, right?
Yes.
But every individual is different. And how do we know that maybe for me, maybe my blood pressure norm is 135/85, and I'm just fine, and everything is working well.
Yes.
So that's the reason why you've got to do your own research, and I would even lean into one's own intuition or gut feeling. There is a practice you may be familiar called kinesiology, or they call it muscle testing. It's the same thing. The body knows. And when people, like, for example, go foraging for food out in the wilderness, what have you, certainly there are certain rules, certain things to stay away from because you've learned over the years, you've studied. But then maybe there's something that you've never studied, you've never seen before. And the way to test it is you just take a little taste. If it tastes horrible, don't, spit it out. Don't go with that, that kind of thing. But you've got to be careful, and you do have to do your own research, both externally and internally. And, you don't want to risk your health. I mean, my goodness, it's like I said before, I want to live to be 100. So I'm not going to take a whole lot of chances in that regard. I'm going to do the research necessary. And you can do that by going to bodyofhealth.life. You can go to dennisjhenson.com, click on the health tab, scroll down, look at the information, and then take it wherever you need to take it to do the research. We want you to do that. We also want you to stay with us as we continue here on the Body of Health series here on Tell Me Your Story. Reverend Dr. D and Dennis Henson. And Dennis, as we kind of wrap up this segment today, I'll give you the final, what is your final warning to those who are following a path towards true health, healing rather, and whether they are trying to prevent disease or survive it?
Well, the most important thing is that you have vital organs. You need to know what they are, starting with your skin, which is the largest, and I would tend to say one of the most important, just up there with your heart. That if you heal all of your vital organs and keep them healthy, you're probably not going to get any disease at all. That's a pretty important thing to know and strive for, because if your body is operating at full efficiency, which means all the organs are healthy, the disease don't have a chance. I mean, your body was built to defend yourself from the disease and to be healthy. So if you do the things, eat right, do the right workouts, get the right kind of exposure to sun and breathing and so forth, then you probably don't have to worry about either cancer or any of the other major diseases.
Well, it's certainly a good thing that we are talking about these aspects of health and well-being. And to that end, I just want to make this statement as we wrap this conversation up. We're not ending the program just yet, but that the information that is provided, especially in lieu of this article that we're talking about, but also these programs, is for educational and informational purposes only, and is based on this article and the research and the experience, and that we're not medical doctors. This content is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment, and seek the advice of your physician or other qualified healthcare provider before making any changes to your diet, exercise routine, or starting any new supplements, especially if you are currently managing a cancer diagnosis or taking prescribed medications. And to that end, I'm going to say, in regards to programs that we've done on blood sugar and so forth, and of course, I keep seeing all of these different videos online about metformin, for example. That's the key, the main medication that they give. They've prescribed to me for my blood sugar issues. I keep seeing how horrible it is, how bad it is, how on and on and on and on. I'm not a fan of chemicals, okay, of that which has been produced in a laboratory kind of thing, okay? I'm not a fan. I am not saying there's anything wrong with it, because I don't know. So I have to do some research. Right. And instead of saying anything derogatory about metformin, I'm going to look into those alternatives. Look into, cinnamon. Oh my gosh. And turmeric. They aren't going to hurt me. They're not contraindicated to metformin, as far as I know. And I haven't had any adverse experiences. I've sort of kind of tested all of that in myself. And my blood sugar's fine right now. So, that's my choice. Those are my decisions. So each one of us has to do that as well. I'll tell you what we also have to decide upon is when we take a little pause to remind you you're listening to Body of Health. Body of Health powerless.life is the website. Please go there like I do and get your morning clarity coffee. Go for it, man. It is really, really good. And don't forget anything else that you find on there. Put that in your grocery cart, so to speak, or your cart there on the website. And then when it asks for a little coupon or a little code, put in radio, RADIO, get 20% off your entire order there. And I would even recommend, Dennis, because I've done this, you can subscribe, i.e., meaning you can get it every month or every 2 months or every 3 months, however you want to set it up so that you get a regular order, so that you always have your items there, your ingredients, whether it's supplements or herbs and spices or whatever it may be, so that you never run out. You never are without what you need there. And I know how it is. You probably feel the same way, Dennis, that if suddenly you go to the cupboard, where's my morning clarity? I ran out. I've got to order some more. Now you got to wait 2-3 days before.
I would panic. I would. I'd literally panic if I didn't have it.
Well, I tell you what,
it's addictive.
Absolutely. So make sure you, if you find some things that really work for you, subscribe, and that we get on a regular basis. And we also hope that you'll stay with us here on Tell Me Your Story for a Body of Health. This is the program that helps to increase your longevity and your quality of life. Longevity does not work real well without quality of life. And that's really, I think, the emphasis that we're trying to put here on the program, as we have been over the last few months since we started this program, Dennis. But one of the other elements here that I want to talk about as we do our last 8 to 10 minutes on the program, I want to talk about how to feed one's mind. We've been talking, of course, about feeding the body, getting the body to optimal health, as it were, or as my friend Linda Mackey would say, would be homeostasis, I think is the phrase that she uses. But there's also a way to do that with your heart, your mind. And when I say heart, I'm speaking more metaphorically there, or metaphysically, if you will. And one of those things is to read something inspiring every day, to put into your mind those things that actually, don't they end up sort of supporting what you're putting into your body?
Yes. I think the very first thing that people need to think about if they want to heal themselves, if they're having heart attacks or cancer or whatever their problem is. I had a friend that was diagnosed with terminal cancer, and his doctor said, there's really not much we can do for you. You need to do something for yourself. And he said, go, and this was back when we had Blockbuster. He said, go rent funny movies. Rent as many funny movies as you can. And when it's time to laugh, over exaggerate the laugh. Just laugh and laugh and laugh. And his cancer receded. He lived a lot longer. In fact, as far as I know, he's still alive. And this has been back when Blockbuster was open. That was years ago. So, there's something to having a positive mental attitude. And the book, Real Impact Daily Inspiration, is a positive book. It helps you form the habit of reading something positive every day that moves you toward your goal. Well, now, if you have a severe illness, your goal is probably to get well. So if you read something positive every day that moves you toward getting well, doing research, listening to Barbara O'Neill, going to bodyofhealth.life and reading an article, going to YouTube and searching out whatever it is that's happening to you and how other people recuperated. If you do that every day, you'll just be amazed. And another thing is, one of the best medicines in the world is gratefulness. If you can just make a list of things you're grateful for and think of those instead of thinking of the things that bother you. If you're concentrating on someone that's getting on your nerves, or the political situation of the day, or you don't like the people at work that's in charge of it. I mean, If you concentrate on those things, then your body can't fight the problem because the stress it's causing is taking up all your energy. If you can think of positive things, then you don't have stress. In fact, it's just the opposite. It creates hormones that fight the stress. So if you want to live a long time and be healthy, be happy. And like Abraham Lincoln said, a fellow is about as happy as he makes up his mind to be.
It's true.
One of my quotes in the book, one of the quotes in the book from me is this: if you want to be happy, be happy. It's that simple.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting too, because before I stepped in here to do this program with you, I was sitting out on the front porch. And the hour previous to that, I was in studio recording my program for June 26th, which was my birthday. And I was talking about a lot of the things that we talk about here on this program in terms of the whole metaphysical or spiritual aspects to life. And that was one of the things that I talked about in terms of gratefulness. I was like, I love going outside onto the porch with my cup of coffee, morning clarity, I'll mention here, and breathing in that fresh pine smell and feeling the cool breeze, looking at the blue skies and the sunshine and feeling that on my face or my head and so forth. And that was speaking about being grateful for those things in spite of all of the other stuff that might be going on the material level, be it finances or I got to repair this at the home or whatever it is, and just focusing on, and I got to tell you, it actually made me feel better. I'm sitting out there and I'm doing the very things I'm now hearing myself talking about as I'm listening to that program. And that's so important. And writing them down is a good thing too, because then you're going to remember those things. And it's okay to mention them again or write them down over and over again. It's great. You're grateful. I mean, I'm grateful for my life. I get up in the morning and I try to remind myself, don't touch the phone, leave it alone, and just throw out some words of gratitude. Hey, thank you for waking me up. Thank you for the breath in my lungs. Thank you for my wife and our kids, our cats, and this beautiful home and the place we live a mile high in the sky. And just, it dovetails. It just dovetails. And it's a beautiful thing. It really is.
It's funny, back when the World Cup came and people came from all over the world to the United States,
Mm-hmm.
there was example after example on social media of people mentioning things that we all take for granted. Just simple things that they're normal for us in the United States, like having ice to go in your drink and getting free refills and getting chips before your meal without a charge. And these are things that if you sit down and consider them, we live in a pretty wonderful country, and those people pointed those things out. And I'll just admit, as I sit there and listen to them talking about those things, tears came to my eyes, because I think how lucky that I am to live in such a wonderful country and have friends like us, and my wonderful family, the people that work for me. But you see, this is common for me. I think of these things all the time, every single day. And I'm always looking for things to add to those. Consequently, even though, I'm getting up in years, I'm still very happy.
Yeah.
I'm healthy and I'm happy and I'm grateful. Well, the gratefulness is the reason that I'm healthy and happy.
Yeah.
And if you're not grateful, if you'll make that a habit, you'll see a change in your physical appearance and how you feel.
Absolutely. Well, I'm grateful for you being a part of Body of Health here on Tell Me Your Story, and for coming back week after week to talk about all of these different things, but even more so for the preparation that you put into this program that allows us to talk in depth about so many different ways to increase our quality as well as quantity of life. So I'm very appreciative for you being a part of this.
Thank you very much.
And I want to thank you for listening to and watching Tell Me Your Story and this Body of Health series that will continue as we continue here, bringing you new paradigms for a new world, giving you choices and knowledge of those choices to help make your dreams come true. We're here Sundays at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., Monday mornings at 1 a.m., Wednesdays at 9 a.m., and Monday through Friday from 8 to 9 a.m., streaming live at all those times at richarddugan.com with podcasts on SoundCloud, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, Stitcher, Player FM, Blueberry, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and we're on YouTube as well as Rumble. We hope that you'll subscribe, click notification. I hope you'll also pick up a copy of Choices, 5 Steps for Life. It's available in hardcover, paperback, and Kindle. We also hope that you can support us financially. We're grateful to those who have helped and those who will help. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We have both PayPal and Zella. And all you have to do is either way, use my email address, richard@richarddugan.com. We also hope you'll take some time to go within to that perfect, quiet, peaceful, calm, still place and listen to and follow the promptings of that still small voice. And until our next podcast, videocast, love Talal. Jeanette, I'm still listening. Dad, continue to be happy because I am. Smokey, I'll see you on the other side. Mike, thanks for being in my life and letting me be in yours. To my brother, Mike, welcome to fatherhood, my friend. And to my dear friend, Zorro, aho, aho.